Hey guys, sorry that. Okay. Hey guys, I'm sorry about the little interruption. I can't really edit videos just yet, but something happened and I couldn't get out of it, so yeah. So anyway, Deku pretty much was telling Denki just not to tell him at all. And Denki said okay. And so Zuko was like talking to everybody else, and he just as everybody was going good, he went to Todoroki and see and asked Todoroki, so hey, and Todoroki said hey, and Deku said, so did you go to your mother? And Todoroki said yeah. She smiles at me when I walked in every time, and it's like Dinky no Todoroki, sorry, is actually like kind of like smiling nicely and softly, and Deku pretty much gave him a hand, pretty much shaking his hand, saying, "Now it should be easier from now in." So who are you going internship with? And he's deciding on who, but um, his weak point is fire. And so Todoroki said, even though I hate him, I need his help. So I'm going with Endeavor. And Deku said, you know what? I'll go with you as well. I think my regeneration needs some work. And so everything is good. And he's like looking around and looking for Ida because he has like a few places that Ida will be perfect with. There's this one guy with a quirk that can slide almost anywhere, but he's on the low ranking. So Deku was like, I'm gonna recommend him to Ida to him, but he couldn't find Ida. And when he found him, it was already too late. He already submitted where he was gonna go, and he overheard a manual. And Deku can't think of any way that will help Ida on his quirk or his skills. And so he like confront him, hey Ida, and Ida's like ignoring him. And Zuko said, hey Ida, and Ida turned around and what? I'm busy. I need to go. And Zuko said, why did you choose a manual? I can't think of any way that you will go there. And Ida said, it's none of your business. It's just some family stuff. And did it just stop on me? Okay. I thought my phone was actually going to stop at this point. So Zuko said, fine, I won't pressure you anymore. And Ida said, thank you, and walked off. And Zuko pretty much read his mind and says, Stain, Stain, Stain. And the city that Stain is. And Zuko said, oh, okay. Pretty much too late to stop him. And so everything went well. Zuko pretty much took the internship for Endeavor as well. And so let's go and skip to when they're doing the internships. I'm not sure if I'm going too fast or not. Okay, I'm not. So everybody's doing their internships, and Zuko's like getting used to it. And then, as Endeavor see him as they walked in the door, he's kind of happy that Todoroki chose him, but he's kind of mad that Deku came with him. And he knows who Deku is because his mom helped him with some issues. And Deku pretty much walked up to Endeavor and said, well, hello again. Been a few years since we met. And Endeavor said, uh-huh. And is this another request from Midoriya? And Izuku said, no. This time is for me. And Deku pretty much said, who's here the most powerful fire user? Since there's no other quirks but fire. And Endeavor said, me. And Zuko said, okay. Mm. And you're going to train Todoroki as best as you can. And Endeavor said, yeah, of course. I'm going to train him how I am going to make him be the very top. And Zuko said, okay, okay. And Deku pretty much tell him that I need someone to pretty much blast fire at me for training all the time as long as possible. And then Endeavor said, why? I might get sued for this. I might get sued from the UA as well. And Deku, well, Todoroki pretty much spoke up and said, well, actually, his quirk is actually regeneration, and so he's just trying to make it stronger. And Deku said, thank you, and yes. And so Endeavor said, with a evil grin, said, fine, let's do it. And so Endeavor's like really itching to fight with Deku because he was the one who made Todoroki to use his quirk. And so someone in the it's like a gym of sorts, but big enough to have a fight. And this lady pretty much said, ready, set, fight. And they start fighting, everything, hand-to-hand combat. And Zuko is actually getting good at with hand-to-hand, doing more fists, some legs, a swing, a back fist. If someone gets that, thank you. But as things kept going, Zuko said, okay, now I'm ready. And Endeavor pretty much start getting his fireball and start throwing, going at him. And Zuko said, hotter, hotter. And he's screaming, hotter. And Endeavor said, all right, if you ask for it, I'll do it. And he start making blue flames. And he said, kid, this is my hottest flame. Don't come back to me if you're dead. And he start throwing blue flames at Deku. And Deku's like, I can take it. And everybody else is looking at this, and some people are trying Endeavor to stop. You're going to kill him. And Todoroki said, don't. He needs this. And everybody's actually looking at Deku, and his right hand is somewhat growing back because it was broken and he just cut it off. But rest of his skins are turning red and then purple and almost charged, pretty much black. And so Endeavor pretty much stopped because he was out of breath and couldn't go anymore. And he kind of like went down on his knees, breathing heavily. And everybody's looking at that, and then they look at Deku, and Deku's just standing there, like he was doing the full counting stance. He was standing there like that the whole time, and everybody see him that's completely black all over, even on his head, and his hair is gone. And they're still staring, and then they're hearing cracking noises throughout the whole thing. That works. That works. And so it's cracking, and Deku is just like moving, kind of like he's popping his joints everywhere. And as he's doing this, the skin is like coming off, and it's pretty much bloody red throughout the whole thing. Like their veins are out. And as they show, Zuko just look at it and start regrowing it right from his fingertips and going up to his hand, to his arm, all the way up to his shoulder, to his body, all the way. And it's kind of mesmerizing, but disgusting at the same time. And a few pro heroes actually threw up at this scene. But Todoroki pretty much like walked up to him and said, dang man, you can take that much and still come back? And Zuko said, water? water, please. And Todoroki just gave him like a block of ice, and Deku pretty much said, "Thank you." And he started, and he pretty much he was, and his skin is actually in on fire. Well, some parts is on fire, but he's so hot, he's actually melting the ice as he touch it. It's kind of boiling, and some of it steaming. And someone actually gave him a cup and he said, "Thank you," and he started drinking. And they're counting how many cups he's drinking, and he's not slowing down at all. And as he finished, he said, "Endeavor, are you ready for the next round?" And everybody was shocked. Even Endeavor was shocked to hear that. And Todoroki said, "Hey, man, you are crazy." And Deku said, "That is nothing compared to my other quirk." And Todoroki says, "So, what do you do with your other quirk?" And they're doing this for a break because Endeavor needs to take a break and cool off as well. And Todoroki and Deku pretty much said, "Well, I pretty much had to meditate and like sort all my emotions to make them simmer down and more manageable." And Todoroki said, "Can I see it? Is it a way you can show me, and not like we can like train with that quirk for now, because I think my dad is." And they're just looking at him, and he's like breathing heavily still. And said, Todoroki said, "Yeah, let's just do that training." And Deku said, "Sure. Do you have like a quiet place or somewhere, kind of like yoga?" And Todoroki said, "Yeah, you can come to my room. No one will ever go in my room." And Deku said, "Oh, thank you. Do you have any glass jars or something? I can do it like that. Much safer and not as strong." And Deku said, "Yeah, I can bring about 3. How many you want?" And 2. If you have one big one, that'd be perfect. But 5. And so Todoroki bring in 6. 5 small ones and 1 big one. Deku said, "Thank you." And Deku's pretty much like pulling out each emotion, pretty much the strong ones. So he's like putting in the green in one, the blue in one, the gray in one, the white in one, and the black in one. Take it and the red in one. And Deku pretty much put the black one in the big one. And Deku pretty much tell him, "Well, this is how it goes. As you can see, all of them are somewhat in the same size, correct?" And Todoroki said, "Yeah." And Deku said, "If one is like bigger," and he's making the happy one bigger, and he pretty much said, "If one is bigger, I need a way to make it smaller, so I use the blue one to make it smaller." And as they mix, they actually stay down calm, since they're negative to each other and they are opposite attract. And if they go over the glass, saying my body is like the glass, it will actually affect my mood. So, all in all, I actually have to focus each emotion separately and together to keep it in me, for I can use it as a weapon. And Todoroki says, "So what exactly is in the black one? I've seen it, and what else can you do with it?" And Deku said, "I can do a lot with the black one, mixing in with all the other colors." Like he's pretty much explaining that the black one is mostly the black and white. Depending on the mixture, it can show every single emotion that humanly possible can make. He's even and Deku's like explaining to him, "I've been trying to make this one on bloodlust. Pretty much the red, yellow, the red, the yellow, I think orange, and then the black." And Todoroki says, "So that's the mixture for bloodlust?" And Deku said, "Yes, but since it's not pure bloodlust, it is not as strong as most people." And Todoroki said, "Have you ever tested on anybody?" And Deku said, "No. I haven't found anybody with a strong will enough for it." And Todoroki said, Have you? How about we try on my father?" And Deku said, "I did it once, and he passed out. He wasn't strong enough for that either." And he's like shaking his head, saying, "I think that's the partly the reason why I had to stay out of his range for a while." And Toroki said, "So you're the reason why he's mostly scared of you? Mostly scared of anybody that has like a fear, show of anger to him?" And Deku said, "Yeah, pretty much." And everything's going on, and let's go to the, is it Hosu City? Finally got it right. So they're going to Hosu City for to scope out the city, and then the Nomu attack. Everything is actually going well. Deku pretty much tell everybody in the whole as loud as he can to shoot for their brains. They are not human at all. And Deku pretty much shot one down, took away all of its emotion, its fear, whatever hope it had, and pretty much said thank you. And then it dies. And as he's like running to everybody with full counting, doing all this, getting all the new moves, and pretty much saying, right after he kills them, saying, "I will go to your grave. I will tell your family." And he takes it away. Take away every single emotion they had in them, and that's it. And then the heroes are it was easier for them to kill it. So this going on, and then he see Native, and he Native is actually no. He sees Manuel, and he see him running around calling Ida, and where did he go? And where did he go? And Deku remembered that Ida is going for Stain, and he remembers that Stain been going into alleys, and so Zuko pretty much did the same thing. He run through alleys, and as he's killing Inumus, he's going through alleys, and he found Stain. As the Stain actually went through Ida's arm at that point and was going to do another one. He actually did twice. He did on both arms. And at that point, Zuko pretty much came in, punched him. Same scene happens. He called Todoroki and others, but Todoroki only came and started fighting him. As he's fighting Stain, he's learning that Stain is one of the Brokens. And so Zuko's pretty much stood there and start laying out some bloodlust, saying, "Let's see if this works." And so he's like laying out bloodlust, and this time he made it so strong that even the people outside of the fight can feel it. And Zuko is like making it like a circle of sorts all around him in the alley, and it's turning red and black around him, and it's slowly going to Stain. And Stain sees this, and so he thinks in his head, "This kid can use bloodlust. Let's see who's stronger." And so he used his as well. But the difference is, Zuko is a man-made, and Stain is his very pure emotion. So at first it showed that Deku's bloodlust was not gonna work, and Zuko was taking a knee, and then Zuko pretty much makes him one more emotion, hope, with he put in more of the gray, the black, the red, what else, and the yellow, and he felt it from Stain, so he like took some, used it, mixed it, make it perfect, and start using it and engulfing Stain to a point where he actually passed out. And at this point, Todoroki came and saw everything and pretty much froze Stain completely, all the way to head to toe. And Zuko pretty much turned around to see Ida and Manuel. So he went to Native and said transfer, and his body is completely healed. And yeah, I'll leave it like that. The next scene comes, and I was thinking of this one real long. Zuko pretty much told Azia, I'm not gonna heal you until you do something for me. And Ida said, what are you gonna do? And he just stops and pretty much yelling at him that it was his fight. It was my duty to defeat him. And Zuko pretty much hit his head again, kind of like a slap, and told him, you were going after him for revenge. You weren't going after him to stop him or to rescue anybody. You were there just for your own benefit, nobody else. And then the cop came, did his spiel, and then left. Deku doesn't care. He only did it for Ida. And Deku pretty much asked Ida, "Where's your brother?" And Ida said, he's down the hall." And Zuko said, "Okay, I will heal your brother." And Ida said, "How can you? His bones are completely broken. His legs won't move at all. The doctor said it will take him at least 3 years until he'll be able to walk." And Zuko said, "I have done worse. I have healed so much worse than you can understand. I have healed so much worse." And Zuko pretty much said, "But it's come in a cost." And Ida said, "What, you want money?" And Zuko said, "No. No, not money." And so Zuko pretty much picked him up, took him, and he was still able to walk. So they walked to his room, right in the next door. And Deku said, "You stand here and wait. And do not come in at all. Do I make myself clear?" And Ida said, "No, I'm going in there with you." And Zuko pretty much gave him a death stare, using fear and a little bit of bloodlust to tell him, "No. For this payment, it has to be like this. Stay here and wait." And Ida pretty much stood there and didn't move at all. He was a little terrified. And so he pretty much shut his mood, kind of like tearing up, and he's showing more. He's using blue as to make it tear up, and then knocked on the door. And Ida's brother said, Ingenium said, "Come in." And he see him and said, "Sir, who are you?" And Deku pretty much like, "I am Ida's classmate, one of his friends." And Ingenium said, "Well, thank you for taking care of him and everything." And Deku said, and he's kind of like tearing up and saying, "I have some bad news. Your brother went in the," and he's like making himself cry as much, and saying, "Your brother died from Stain. He went after Stain all by himself." And Ingenium is hearing this, and he's like, "No, no, it can't be him. He was supposed to be." And he stopped and started crying, and like completely bawling and pretty much blaming himself this whole time that he couldn't protect his little brother. And Zuko pretty much walked up to him and pulled that very emotion out. And he just like said, and well, he's pretty much saying, "It's gonna be okay." And Evangelion said, "How can it be okay? He's dead." And he's like screaming at him as well. And Zuko said, "That's good." And use his left hand, touch his chest, and pull out every emotion of that very despair. And JM said, "What did you do? And what the?" And Deku said, "Come in." And Ida came in, and Ingeni said, "I thought you said he died." And Ida is pretty much saying, and Deku already told him he had to do it himself too. And Ida said, "I actually went there. I tried to beat him for revenge." And Janium said, "For what? Why did you have to do that? He's too strong. I couldn't handle him. How can you handle him?" And Ida pretty much is kind of bawling, kind of crying, and just wanted to see you. He wanted to see you. I want him to pay. And Deku said, "Okay, that's enough. That's enough." And Ingenium said, "What? Do you see us having a conversation? You're not in this." And Deku said, "Well, actually, this is why I'm doing it." And Ida made a deal. Within this deal, he had to pay me. And my payment is something more emotional. And he's pointing at the ball, and it's still there. And he said, "Ida, catch." And Ida catched it. Felt every single emotion, and he's just like standing there, taking it all in. And Ida's like standing there, not saying a thing. And Ingenium said, "What did you throw at him?" And Deku said, "Well, every emotion that you just felt, that you just come up with, all there, everything that you felt, like that you were too weak, you couldn't do anything, believing he was dead, I put it into him. So he feels every single emotion that you felt." And Ingenium said, "That's pretty powerful, kid. Is that really your quirk?" And Deku said, "Yeah." And this is my other one. This is the full round. He, I gave him. He gave me my payment, so I'm going to give his payment. Give his receipt. And Deku said, "First, can I have a handshake? I'm like a big fan." And then said, "Sure." And so he shook his hand and said, and Deku said, "Transfer." And he kind of like he kind of like wobbled a bit. Deku kind of wobbled a bit, and then went back up and said, "All done." And Jenny said, "What are you talking about?" And then Deku said, "Move your feet." And Jenny said, "Move my feet." And he started moving his toes, and then his feet, and then his leg. And then he started noticing, "Wait, I don't feel my pain. I don't feel the pain. Wait, I can, what the?" And Deku said, "Well, my other quirk is transfer." And he's like rubbing his leg and pretty much saying, "Man, that was a pain to get out. I can, dang, what the heck?" And Deku pretty much said, "Well, transfer is pretty much whatever physical pain you have, I take it into myself, and you're fully healed." And Johnny said, "Thank you. You just made me bring me back to becoming a pro hero again." And Deku said, "Yeah, pretty much." And Ida can't snap out of it and looked at Ingenium and pretty much smiling and giving Ingenium a hug and pretty much happy and crying. And Deku said, "Well, see you in school, Ida." And yeah, the next, and everybody has done their thing. It's like a 2 week, 1 week. I say 2 week because it makes more sense. 2 weeks. So 2 weeks of all that, they could pretty much make regeneration go way higher now. So he's almost immune to fire as well. And they go back into class. Everybody's like talking about how everything is. So you did hers, and they could pretty much ask, "So, Jiro, how was it for you?" And she said, "It was really good. I learned a lot with Gunhead." And Uraka said the same thing. And Deku said, "Good, good." And they asked, "What did you do?" And Deku pretty much have a flashback and said, "I did some training with my other quirk." And they said, "What kind of training?" And Todoroki said, "Well, he kind of been burnt alive, came back, burnt alive again, and pissed my dad off quite a few times." And some of them were like a little shocked to hear this, but Deku said, "See, I'm just fine. I think my regeneration just got way better now." And they say, "Like how?" And Deku said, "Like this." And he cut off his full right hand, like completely off, is kind of squirming on the floor, and some of them are a little shocked to see this still, but some of them are getting used to it, saying, "Oh, they're just deku." And and then they saw it flop on the ground. As they looked up, it started regrowing immediately, and Deku said, "See, almost like 5 seconds for my whole arm, for my whole hand. Usually be like about 30 seconds." And he's just like stretching out his hand, cracking it. And so Mr. Iwasawa was like just watching all of this going on, and he was just thinking in his head, I always get the weird ones in my class. Do they always? Oh, no. And so the class was going on as always. And then All Might came in and pretty much told everybody, now let's see what you have done, what progress you have gone on your internship. So everybody did their race. Zuko's actually in second to, no, he's first. I forgot he had 40% of one for all. And so he's first, and then Zero and everybody else. Everybody's going good. Almost forgot what the next part is. So here we go. And Mr. Iwasawa pretty much told everybody, you have 1 week for the final, for your for the test and the practical test. The test is seeing how everything is. And so Deku, everybody's like just like panicking, and so they are starting studying. And we go to the lunch scene, and everybody's like talking about what's going to happen for they already know about the test, but the physical test, they don't know what to do. They don't, and someone passed by and said, well, this is Kendo, and she pretty much said, upperclassmen of mine pretty much told me that they would be doing, and they did, you guys would be fighting robots. And Deku said, no, it's not going to be that. And everybody just like turned to him and said, why wouldn't it be? And Deku said, has your upperclassman fought evidence? And she said, no. And Deku said, and we have? And everybody said, yeah. And Deku said, oh, I think we're going to be fighting the heroes. And everybody's kind of hoping that he's wrong, but since he's one of the top 5 smartest, it's more of a 7 out of 10 that he's gonna be right. And so everybody's like kind of freaking out. So Deku pretty much said, it's okay, let's just work on our quirks and our sprains. And looking at everybody, all the lower 20 and under, 10 and under, and just pretty much telling them, you better make it work. At least pass the physical. No, he said at least pass the test, not the physical test. And so, end of the week comes. On Thursday, they did the test. Almost everybody passed. Almost everybody. And then the next day, they went to ground gamma, I believe. And they see the teachers, and they're all thinking, please not the teachers, not the teachers. And Nezu came up and said, well, hello everybody. As you can see here, you'll be fighting with the teachers. And everybody just turned to Deku said, what? And he pretty much said, what? It's just a guesstimate, and I was right. And everybody's getting paired up. And Jiro, I forgot where she was paired up, but yeah, let's just end it here. Can't think of anything. Alright then, guys, bye.